It's the Mike Francesa podcast on the Bet Rivers Network.
Hello again, everybody. Mike Francesa podcast. After a terrific Knicks game number 1 in Cleveland, the Knicks find a way. It looked like for a second they were going to blow the game after the turnover, and the basket finally, and the rebound basket finally put the Cavs up. But the Knicks responded again, got the baskets from the guys they could hope to get them from down the stretch. Brunson showed you why he's become one of the best closers in the league and one of the real true leaders in the league now. He wants the ball. He responds down the stretch, and it was really a couple of big offensive rebounds that really cinched it. And it wasn't over until the Knicks got the rebound from Randall, who had 3 points in the fourth quarter. Didn't have a great fourth quarter, but he had a good comeback game. Not a great fourth quarter. But got the rebound. Grimes gets fouled. He makes both free throws and then makes the moot point. Mitchell can't hurt them when they're down 4. He did what you expect him to do. The one thing I'll say is we know that Cleveland has length. We know they're a terrific defensive team. And we know they're going to be tough in the series. There's no question. The series isn't in any way over. But the bottom line is they need someone else to help Mitchell out in terms of scoring. They can't ask him to do everything himself. And their interior guys just didn't do a good job, especially Mobley. Mobley missed a lot of easy shots around the basket, shots that he's got to make. They need to get another scorer, somebody they can count on if they are going to get anything done in the postseason. But from the Knicks, it's Brunson. It's a good comeback game from Randall, and it's hot. And we have talked about all year how much we loved the Brunson signing, how different the Knicks were, how likable they've been this year, how we thought they could respond in the postseason. Now, we're not expecting miracles from this team in the postseason, but we expected life from them in the postseason. We didn't think it was going to be like the Atlanta series, and it already isn't. The bottom line is they came to play in this series. They have answers in this series, and they got a terrific performance from Hart tonight. 17 points, 10 rebounds, big effort plays everywhere on the floor, big rebounds when they need it. And they got some really terrific bench play. They really did. I mean, they got 8 and 5 out of Hartenstein. They got a couple of big baskets out of Toppin. They obviously expect to get a lot, and he plays plenty of minutes. They expect a lot from Hart, and he has changed this team dramatically. Brunson became the guy on the Knicks. But when Hart came, the team changed both offensively and defensively. It changed in a very cohesive fashion. Now, you didn't know, if you heard the Van Gundy podcast the other day, he made a good point about, hey, the Knicks haven't been healthy down the stretch. How are they going to be as far as being in sync and being ready to play? You know, Randall hadn't played at all. Obviously, Brunson had been dealing with the ankle injury. But Brunson comes back. He gets in foul trouble in the first half. He was clearly infuriated. The officiating was bad for both teams. It was a very unevenly called game, especially through the first 3 quarters. It wasn't bad in the fourth quarter, but it was not good in the first 3 quarters. Very unevenly called. But Brunson had to sit on a bench because he was in foul trouble in the first half. And he winds up, has a big third quarter, comes back, makes big plays down the stretch, scores 27 points, and makes big buckets. And the Knicks, as we said, they were able to hold them off. They had some bad turnovers in the last 5 minutes of the game. They have to clean that up. They had some really bad turnovers. Multiple guys, including Brunson, bad turnovers in those spots. They have to do a better job of that going forward. But they came back and responded and really got terrific offensive rebounding. That was big. 17 offensive rebounds in the game and some critical, clutch offensive rebounds. Hartstein getting the big offensive rebound, getting it back to Brunson, who scores, and then, of course, Randall getting the big offensive rebound. Otherwise, they would have had a chance to tie or win the game in the final seconds, and instead, he gets it to Grimes. Grimes gets fouled, he makes both free throws, and the game's over. The Knicks are going to be better from three. We know they're erratic there. They have got to be better from three. They got to get better three-point shooting from Brunson. They got to get better three-point shooting from Randall. They got to get better three-point shooting and better production out of Barrett, who was 1 for 5 from three and 2 for 12 from the floor. They did not shoot it well from three tonight, but they were able to get past that. They have got to be more consistent from three. Their defense was good. Mitchell is going to score. That's all there is to it. First of all, he took 30 shots. He's going to score, though. You know, he was 6 of 16 from three. He didn't get to the foul line that much in this game. They did not – the Knicks did a good job of negating their size for the most part and got very good effort defensively, very good effort from the bench, very good effort on the backboards, and that overcame a couple of things that you don't love. You don't love the turnovers, especially the bad ones in the fourth quarter, and you have got to do a better job of shooting the three than they did in this game. But what they have now is a continuity. What they have now is a cohesiveness that really came together when Hart came to the team. They ran off that long streak when he came to the team. It changed them. He's an effort guy. He's a intangible guy. He does all the little things. He does all the hustle plays. He gets, you know, he goes to the ground. He goes into the stands. He plays defense. He digs. He rebounds. Gets his hands dirty. Does everything that you want. And in Brunson, they have a guy who wants the ball down the stretch and knows what to do with it down the stretch. We know Randall is not a great closer. We know he's not a great fourth quarter player. He had a good 3 quarters tonight. He had 16 points. He had 9 rebounds. He had 3 assists. He didn't have a great fourth quarter, but he did come up with one huge 3, and he came up with that big offensive rebound, which really could have saved the game. Let's be honest. Hart comes up with so many big plays in this game, too. It's not just what he brings and what he presents to this team and how he changes the entire fabric of this team by his presence. But it's also, you know, you've been waiting a long time to play in the playoffs. And to come up with a big shot in a big spot and big plays down the stretch. And that's what you expected out of him. You know what you're going to get from Brunson. You know how good Brunson was in the playoffs last year. You know how much the Mavs are kicking themselves for what happened. We know what this guy could bring here. And this was a great, great win. You wanted to get 1 out of 2. All right, now you're going to get greedy, but the bottom line is they already did what they had to do in Cleveland. Even if they come back 1-1. Next Friday night, the Garden will be rocking like it hasn't rocked in a long time. A long, long time. That will be an insanely hot ticket. And it'll be kind of like the old days at the Garden. A Friday night, late April, you know, weather changing, and the Garden rocking, loud and just wild as it hasn't been in a very, very long time, as it was for so many of those years. In April, in May, and sometimes into June. And you could remember those Friday nights and remember those Sunday afternoons. And now this coming week, you're going to have that. You're going to have a Friday night at 8:30. You're going to have a Sunday afternoon at 1. You're going to have those kinds of moments again, which we haven't had in a long time, with a likable team that has some answers and has some leadership. The playoffs are just underway, and the Knicks' first step was a positive one. Wasn't perfect. Some stuff to clean up. But game one goes to them, and that is an enormous positive. A couple things real quick, just tagging on this on, and we'll be with you after the Knicks games. You know, we'll give you a postmortem from each of the Knicks postseason games. The Twins, who have been the Yankees' doormats for so many years, come in and win the first two games. The first one, obviously, they put up that ridiculous first inning, the likes of which you haven't seen in a long time. And then they come back and win game two. Well, today the Yankees bounce back, and now they can go for the split tomorrow, so things are fine. The Mets began this this is the longest homestand for the Yankees right now, longest road trip for the Mets, and beginning it against this Oakland team, because this Oakland team started the season. They had some players. They lost their best player already in the lineup. They had some players offensively. What they didn't have was a lot of proven pitching. And what has happened is they have one of the worst pitching staffs we have seen in a long time. I mean, if they beat you a game right now, it's a big deal. They are terrible. Last night, you know, the Mets went to town. Today, it's a different game, but they still win at 3-2. They have only won 3 of their first 15 games. And the ERA is right now the third highest in baseball history for the first 15 games. Third highest in baseball history. If this team doesn't clean up this pitching staff and get an infusion of some young arms or pick up some guys from other teams or just try to do something to just turn over this staff, not their everyday players, but turn over this staff. And their everyday players haven't done much yet, but they have a couple of guys, and they, like I said, their best guys out. And they've scored some runs in Baltimore, and they've scored some runs a couple places, but they are right now there's some bad teams. The Tigers, who have won the last couple of days, are not a good team. We know that. We know the Nationals aren't a good team. We know there's some bad teams out there, okay? But this Oakland team could start to get historic if they don't get something straightened out with this pitching staff. Because right now they are 3-12 to start the season, and the ERA is just absolutely astronomical. And the Mets have gotten the first 2 games, and they'd like to get another one Sunday and get out of town before this team figures out what's going on, because right now they are just a dreadful, dreadful baseball team. And you want to take advantage of that if you're the Mets, because the rest of this trip isn't going to be that easy, that's for sure. So, but the big story, of course, the Knicks, it looked for a second like we were going to be talking about a game that the Knicks led all the way and let get away. And unfortunately, that didn't happen because of some big baskets, because of a couple of clutch free throws, and because of 2 big, really big offensive rebounds down the stretch of the game. Enjoy your Sunday, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the Mike Francesa podcast on the Bet Rivers Network.